Good morning, folks, and welcome to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson. Sure glad that you joined us today. It's going to be a great show. We're going to discuss how steroid implants work in beef cattle. My guest, Dr. Chris Reinhardt from the Animal Science Department from right here at Kansas State University. Enjoy the show.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Doc Talk, brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick. In Wamego, just a short drive down the yellow brick road.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and this is Dr. Chris Reinhardt, who is a friend and a colleague here at Kansas State University. He is an associate professor, fixing to be a full professor at Kansas State University in the Department of Animal Science and Industries. He is also our state beef extension specialist for feedlots, and he's a ruminant nutritionist. And Chris, first of all, I just appreciate all you do for Kansas, appreciate what you do for K-State and what you do for the Beef Cattle Institute. Let's get into this and start talking about breaking it down. Steroid implants have been around since the 50s.
Yes.
And, what compounds are used?
Well, we can get super technical and put everybody to sleep, myself included, but in a broad sense, we typically use estrogenic and androgenic hormones, the common, what we'd all know as the female hormone and the male hormone.
So estrogenic would be like your estradiol or estrogens, androgenic or the testosterone, but we don't actually use testosterone. We use an analog called trenbolone acetate.
Correct. It's more potent than the testosterone, but it does essentially the same thing in the body.
With no sexual side effects.
Correct.
Okay. So when we use these compounds, I think one of the things that amazes me is how small the dosage rate is. Just what kind of dosage rates are we talking about? These are 4, 5, 800-pound animals. We're 200-pound beast.
And the total dosage we put in that animal's ear is in the milligram dosage, between 20 and up to 200 milligrams.
So when we're talking about 20 to 200 milligrams, how long, for like I said, if I'm going to take a 200 milligram Advil, I take 2 of those. So we're talking about 1 Advil equivalent dosage. Over how long a period of time is that? Is it daily, weekly?
No.
I'm baiting you on that.
Yeah, we'll put that in, and we'll let that implant go for 100, 120, 150 days.
So we're talking about dosing an animal with 200 milligrams over 150 to 180 days in an animal that weighs 800 pounds. It's not
Correct.
a very big dose.
Very, very small.
Now, these dosage rates, these are not oral, these are not injectable, these are a subcutaneous pellet that's placed underneath the skin of the ear that pay out over this time. One of the things, we've got about a minute before we go to break, but it lends itself to me that these products are extremely safe when it comes to human consumption and residues. A 200 milligram dosage rate over 180 days in an 800-pound animal. Do you have some feel for that?
What I like is our FDA, our CVM, has put in place what I'll call multiple hurdles of safety. You mentioned the implant being placed under the skin in the middle third of the animal's ear. I always ask people, when's the last time they sat down to a nice juicy piece of ear? We even put the implant in a place that will never be used for human consumption.
So in the meat, very little residue, if any. And when we come back, we'll give you some comparative numbers. You're watching Doc Talk. We're talking about steroid implants, their safety, and how they work in the ruminant animal with Dr. Chris Reinhardt.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Jennifer Hawley recently received an AmStut scholarship. She grew up on a family-owned dairy with registered Holsteins in northwestern Wisconsin. Her passion for the dairy business led her to the University of Wisconsin School of Veterinary Medicine, and her work there took her to Mexico, New Zealand, Turkey, Ecuador, and Indonesia to learn even more about international agriculture.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Doc Talk, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt from the Department of Animal Science and Industries here at Kansas State University, and we're talking about steroid implants. And you know, when we talk about the safety, I keep going back to that publication Dan Lloyd put out from Iowa State, comparing the estrogenic activity of different feedstuffs or foodstuffs. And when you look at soy flour at over 350 million nanograms of estrogenic activity, or tofu over millions of nanograms of estrogenic activity in an 8-ounce serving, or you look at eggs and cabbage and peas and their estrogenic activity of 2,000 nanograms of estrogenic activity. Folks, when you're looking at an 8-ounce steak from an implanted steer, there are 3 nanograms of estrogenic activity in that steak. When you look at the estrogenic activity of a steak from a natural or organic steer that was not implanted with a steroid implant, the estrogenic activity within that 8-ounce steak is 2 nanograms of estrogenic activity. So the difference of 1. How small is a nanogram? A nanogram per kilogram is equivalent to a blade of grass on a football field. So when we talk about the safety and we talk about the opportunities that we have, you know, I think a lot of people are misled on the amount of estrogenic activity or steroid activity, and you really need to get to know the facts, because there's a lot less estrogenic activity in meat that's implanted with steroid, beef from cattle implanted with steroids, than what there is in eggs or milk or cabbage or peas or tofu or things of that nature, in magnitudes of thousands and millions.
And the other thing I like to add is that doesn't make those foods unhealthy.
No, they're very healthy. They're good for you.
Our bodies have the ability and the design to process those and use those and not be affected by those estrogenic activities whatsoever. And so all of this screaming over 1 nanogram, when our body itself produces hundreds of millions every day, gets me excited. A
pregnant woman produces 20 million nanograms of estrogen a day. A non-pregnant female produces 500,000 nanograms of estrogen a day. An adult male produces 130,000 nanograms of estrogen a day. It's something natural, and we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater over that blade of grass on the football field. So anyway, well, let's talk just briefly. We've got about a minute. Just tell me the efficiencies that utilizing these products, because they also improve sustainability and decrease the inputs of natural resources to produce beef.
We have the opportunity to use implants almost from the birth of the calf. We have very low dose implants that match the size, the small size of a young calf. Through the suckling phase, we've got implants that match the growing phase, whether they're in the dry lot or on pasture, and we've got implants that match that bigger animal. Long story short, use of those implants reduces, I'll say, the carbon footprint, improves the production efficiency of that animal in its lifetime by 10 to 15%.
So 10 to 15% less feed is required to produce that animal of the same size relative to one that we don't utilize. And that's huge.
It's one of the few things we can do in production agriculture that delivers every time.
Hard to tell somebody in a developing nation why we wouldn't use these kind of products to improve efficiency and make more food.
True.
Thanks for watching Doc Talk. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Dr. Reinhardt about how these products work in your cattle.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc.
Hello folks, this is Dr. Nels Lindberg with Animal Medical Center and Production Animal Consultation. Today's BQA Tip of the Day isn't so much a tip, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge to you producers, stockmen, cattlemen, horsemen, whatever part of the beef industry you're involved in, to get BQA certified. It's extremely important for your education, for the success of our industry, and also for the health and well-being of these cattle that we care for every single day. Nobody cares for these cattle more than we do, but it's very important for us to get further educated in this process. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is go to bqa.org or even contact the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University, and they'd be more than happy to help you through the process. It's easy, it's simple, let's get it done. Thanks.
Don't forget to register for the 2015 Kansas Commodity Classic to be held on February 6th in Manhattan. Visit kansaswheat.org to learn more.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Turn to a Central National Bank Ag Professional. You'll be in good company. They'll help you track expense lines, manage variable input costs, assess ground agreements, pick a crop protection plan. These times demand ag professionals. Central National Bank. You could profit from what they know. Ag operations run better on Central Time.
Central National Bank. Money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Doc Talk, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson and Dr. Chris Reinhardt here from Kansas State University, and we're having what I think is a great show because it's something I wanted to get on the show to explain to people and have this, get it on YouTube, get it on our archive. Share it with your relatives, because the truth about the safety and the effectiveness of steroid implants really needs to get out there, because this is a technology we need to keep, and this is a technology we need to expand for beef production. But let's talk about how these products work. So I give a calf a steroid implant. We don't use this in pigs and chickens because they don't work in monogastrics. They work in sheep, goats, and cattle. And so tell me, once I give an injection, or not an injection, but I give a steroid implant underneath the ear to a calf, what's happening?
And that's where we can really lose our audience. Is it's very, very technical, and it turns on dozens, if not hundreds, of systems inside that animal. But what I like to relay that to is I was so excited when I learned all of those really complicated systems that are getting turned on by that tiny little pellet are the exact same systems that get turned on by using a bigger breed of bull.
Gotcha.
It's about growth and really turning on the systems that genetics for bigger size, greater efficiency turn on without that implant.
So basically, when you use a steroid implant in a calf before puberty, you're just shifting that mature body size. It's actually the opposite of what most people think is happening. Most people think that when you give a hormone, the onset of puberty comes quicker. Actually, when we use the steroid hormone, we're actually delaying puberty and shifting the mature body size or the frame size of those animals.
We all understand that that young animal is extremely efficient, very lean growth, growing frame, growing muscle, and just what you said, Doc, by delaying, us middle-aged people would like to have some of our fat deposition delayed for a couple of years, and that's essentially what we're doing with that calf. We're putting them in a more immature phase of growth. You're exactly right.
So we shift the mature body size, and I liked how you said it during the break. You know, it's like it's equivalent to selecting a different bull for frame.
Yeah, if you're a Western rancher trying to use a smaller frame bull and to raise small heifers and smaller size cows, and yet you have steer offspring, using these implants essentially allows you to cheat the system, rewind the clock, and turn that frame 5 calf into a frame 6 or even a frame 7 calf.
By using the steroid implants. So when we say we're shifting the mature body size of these critters, we're taking these animals from a frame score 5 to a frame score 6 or 7 by the use of the implant. And if we didn't use a steroid implant, you would just leave them at a frame score 5.
And market at a much lower weight, and that's really what we measure efficiency by, is how many pounds we get to sell at the end.
Cool. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with Dr. Reinhardt. We're going to talk a little bit more about how these steroid implants affect the body and growth rates of your calves. You're watching Doc Talk, and we're really glad that you joined us.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel. America's advanced biofuel.
Don't forget to register for the 2015 Kansas Commodity Classic to be held on February 6th in Manhattan. Visit kansaswheat.org to learn more.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt, and we're at the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University, where Dr. Reinhardt is in the Department of Animal Science, and he is our state feedlot extension specialist in the state of Kansas. And we talked about shifting that mature body size. And so when we use a steroid implant, let's just take a show steer or a commercial steer. We implant them, they're going to go from a frame score 5 to a frame score 7. So that shift in mature body size. When we get those animals to an endpoint, and the endpoint, as people know, is the amount of fat deposited over that 12th and 13th rib or the tail head, however you're going to judge it. These animals actually have more lean tissue deposition, more muscling, not necessarily because they're Arnold Schwarzenegger, people think of that with steroid implants. That's not the reason. The reason is because we shifted that mature body size, and to get that taller animal to the same endpoint, we had to deposit more muscle to support that frame.
I really like that analogy of shifting the growth curve to the right, as it were, because the implants do the same thing as using a bigger bull. It's not like simply blowing them up like a muscle builder. Implants turn on everything, but so does using a bigger breed of bull. There's just more pounds there at the end.
So we just wind up with a larger calf, and the efficiency comes because we're getting increased pounds of gain on the same amount of feed as what we did with that smaller frame animal.
And that's really where we are today in the beef industry, is trying to find efficiencies in the margin. And implants, as I said, are the one thing we can count on time and time again of delivering that efficiency.
So steroid implants will increase lean muscle deposition. They have no effect on fat.
Correct.
And whether it's fat deposition across the loin or in the steak, people have that misconception that steroid implants decrease the quality grade because they decrease fat deposition. They actually just increase the muscling deposition around the same amount of fat.
Correct.
So what about tenderness in steroid implants?
That's the same story. Simply making the animal bigger and more efficient, as long as we take them to that same fat defined endpoint, whether that's external fat or marbling deposition, the tenderness is the same.
So we do have to worry about quality grade.
Correct.
So what are some of your strategies or recommendations for producers to when to really worry about quality grade and how to impact that, not impact that in a negative manner?
The simplest thing is to match the dosage of the implant to the animal and the nutrition provided.
Chris, thanks for being on the show today.
You're always welcome.
Folks, Dr. Chris Reinhardt, I don't know if we could do a much better job of getting this message out, but steroid implants are a safe technology that we need to be using, and we need to get the word out to consumers and to people. So if you want to know more about what we do here at Kansas State University, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. You've been watching Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson with Dr. Chris Reinhardt, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.